Hey guys, welcome to the recap of today's round here in Almaty, Kazakhstan, in an open tournament. I think it's called the World of Chess Autumn Open. And in order to retain chances to fight for the first place in the tournament, I need to win all my remaining games. I'll try to do that. And today I tried to win against a Soviet candidate master. Sergei Solomatin. He has fallen down in terms of rating quite a bit, but he's still very strong. Soviet candidate masters are a force to be reckoned with. I remember this anecdote about an American international master coming to the USSR to give an exhibition simultaneous match, simul, against 25 Soviet schoolboys who demolished him. He didn't win a single game. He lost 80% of the games and drew the remaining 20% of the games. So yeah, and they were not even candidate masters. They were school children, like class A players. Candidate masters in the Soviet Union, they knew a bunch of things about chess. But my hope is that my opponent is already close to 60 years old, so I wanted to get him into some complications, into a dark forest where 2 + 2 does not equal 4, like Mikhail Tal. Because people, when they get old, tend to get worse at calculation. The brain doesn't just work as efficiently as it used to. When you get older. That's the problem. But there is still skill, of course. Skill is never lost. So let's dive into the game. I'm playing with the white pieces, and my opponent is a very peculiar man in in terms of his taste for openings. What is knight e7? Like d5 is a standard response in the French. Maybe b6. I've never seen knight e7. This is such a strange move to get me out of my opening prep, I assume. But of course it's bad. I just develop my knights, and my position is close to +1 according to the engine already. But my opponent relied on the fact that he probably played many games against, I don't know, Soviet chess hustlers in this variation, and I never played in it. But I thought that the knight on e7 cannot be good because it's blocking the bishop. The knight on c6 also is blocking the c5 pawn. I didn't like his position at all. I decided to avoid all nonsense and just develop following classical chess principles. He goes g6 here, and now he's weakening the dark squares here, so I thought this is not good for him. I go bishop f4, just developing, and I also want to go knight b5, and surprisingly he will not be able to stop bad things happening, so he has to spend the tempo here and go a6, and I go queen d2, and I'm just dominating. Almost all my pieces are out and developed. I can castle queenside or kingside. It's a great position. He goes bishop g7. I retreat because I want to strengthen the d4 pawn and maybe go c3 in future to kill this bishop that he has. So he goes h6, doesn't want me to go to g5, and probably wants to go push g5, g4 himself. So I prevent that with h4. He takes, I take, knight d5, I take in my bishop, and I drop back to g3. And I really enjoy my position. Yes, he has managed to untangle a little bit, but still, almost all my pieces are developed. This bishop is horrible, just horrible. It will take extremely long time for it to get developed, so I was very optimistic at this point. He castles. I go c4 because I don't want him to have a good knight here on d5. d5 is a perfect square for the knight. I want him just to go away. f5, and you can hear my cat meowing in the background. Yes. He supports my position. f5, lashing out. My opponent is trying to instigate because, yeah, his position is worse than mine. So it's worth instigating in under such circumstances. Because if you drop back, then you're just passively defending. Yes, maybe the computer says knight f6 is better, but then I can even take on c6. It was the move that was on my radar. I thought that damaging his structure like this, leaving him with this horrible bishop is a good idea, and the engine approves. So instead of retreating, he instigates with f5, counterattacking, and here I correctly, according to the engine, decide to trade. Here the engine wanted me to take here as well. Of course, during the game I didn't know that, and I thought that jumping in with the knight to e5 looks logical. Turns out it loses almost all of my advantage. It's a mistake. I should have taken here and then just castled. And then knight c3, and yeah, I have a big lead on in development. This bishop is stupid, so yeah. Instead, I went knight e5. I decided to sack a pawn and instigate, create some complications, because I realized that this is the area where I have more chances. If I go to an endgame with the Soviet candidate master, I'm cooked. He probably has spent dozens of years playing endgames and has an amazing technique. So he takes, I take. I want to trade off this dark squared bishop of his, then his king will have no defenders. He takes the pawn, but I don't really care about the pawn. I go queen f4 because I don't want him to trade the queens. Again, I don't want to go into an endgame. So I go queen f4. Maybe I taken this pawn, but what's most important is that I want to put more pressure on his king, which I do. He goes c5 and I castle on. That was a really bold move, but I'm very happy to see that the engine approves of it. So of course, it's not advisable to take this pawn, because then I'll take with the queen, and he has rook e8, and my king is still stuck in the center, and queen a5 check also is coming, and this is a horrible position. The engine maybe defends it, but practically speaking, white is cooked. So of course taking is out of the question, and I need to activate my pieces, activate more pieces, get them into the attack, use the fact that this bishop and this rook are still not participating in the game, which is sad. You should use your pieces. Otherwise, why do you need them? You can give odds to people if you don't use, like play without a rook, like the masters of the past used to do against amateurs. I do it against my girlfriend sometimes also. So okay, I castle on. It's scary. The king here is not very safe, but my rook joins the attack, and I'm using the fact that I'm up in development and I want to crush his king. So he takes. I take by the rook. Now my rook is hungry, angry, and very active, attacking the queen. He goes to a5, attacking the a2 pawn, and I first trade because, as I said, I wanted to trade off that dark squared bishop. Now look at these diagonals. Look at this king. It's so weak. It's not feeling great, and the bishop is still not joining the game. Knight c3 is an important move, protecting the pawn and also wanting to jump into the center. The engine actually says that I could have gone rook h to d1. I was actually calculating this move to sack the rook and attack like this, but I thought I'll have time for that. Knight c3 first looks safer, and I didn't have too much time to calculate all the complications, so I just went with my gut. And he went b5, and this was a fatal mistake by my opponent. Yes, under pressure and considering his age, he just had a slip, had a mental slip. Didn't remember the fact that this queen should stay guarding the e5 pawn, e5 square. Once he goes b5, the queen is no longer guarding e5, and I can win in multiple ways, including queen e5 check with a deadly attack. But I thought that h5 first is even better. And actually, the engine says both moves are winning. So, of course, he cannot take, then his king is so weak. Rook d6, queen takes h6, and checkmate will follow. If he goes g5, which is a move, then I can go queen e5 check. And then, well, queen here. In many ways, you can win this, but rook d6 probably is the most clinical, and then there will be a checkmate. So instead of going g5, he decides to go on and go b4, go on with his attack. And here I make a brilliant move according to chess.com's engine, but actually it's very logical. I wouldn't give myself 2 exclamation marks for this. H takes g4. Yes, my knight is hanging, but if he takes my knight, then he'll get checkmated. And he realized it, but there is no use doing anything else. Like, this bishop and this rook are still not participating in the game. Remember, you should activate your pieces first of all before pushing pawns in 99% of your games. So he takes, but I take, and there is mate in several moves. And here he just resigns. Well, he could have played on a couple of more moves. Here, for example, this is checkmate. And if he takes this pawn, then rook h6 and queen f6 is checkmate. And what else can he do? He can go here, but then like anything wins, but queen e7. Yeah, rook d6. And this is a checkmate. So I get this important win. In the next round, I'm playing against the tournament leader, who is on 6 out of 6 points. I'm on 4.5 out of 6. And I need to get that win on demand with the black pieces. I'll try to do my best. Stay tuned and wish me luck in the comments. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.